Hi everybody, my name is Mackenzie Westcott and I am going to be using Utica, New York as my community. Just a little background information on why I chose Utica, New York. Utica is not where I grew up. I actually grew up about 2 hours south from here. And I came to Utica in order to go to school. I went to Utica College, and I have been here since my freshman year in Utica College, and I've been here about 6 years now. So I thought it would be pretty interesting to do a presentation on somewhere that I did not grow up, especially since I am looking to whether I want to stay in the area or expand my horizons a little bit. So this is just a map of Utica. As you can see, it goes into Deerfield a little bit. Deerfield is still considered part of Utica. So just a little bit of the demographics for Utica, New York. There is 29,674 males and 31,658 females. The median age is 34, which I found, pretty normal. I think, walking around, that's pretty much what you see for the most part. The male to female ratio, it's very close, and I was maybe expecting a more drastic difference. I don't know why. I just feel like maybe there would have been. What I found really interesting was 79.1% have a high school diploma or higher. I think talking to people who did grow up in this area really skews that statistic, or at least my perception of the statistic, because from the sounds of it, it's not the case when you talk to people from the area, which I think is why the statistics are always a good thing. I do like the fact that, there's a good number of veterans with approximately 3,100 of them. I think that, really, helps the community. I do think at the same time it also gives the community a responsibility to give back to them and have services in place for them. So this is just a little chart of the political affiliation in Utica. I originally was not going to add political affiliation, and then I seen what our discussion post was about this week, so I thought it would go well, just, researching it a little bit, and it's good. I think it's good to know the political affiliations, because you get to know the different beliefs in your community. So as you can see from this chart, there are more Republicans than Democrats, but it's not by much, and there are a few registered independents as well. So in Utica, as you can see, races they're varied, they're across the board. White seems to be the predominant race, with Black following, and as you go down the line, you can see that Hispanic would follow that, Asian, and then 2 or more races, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander, American Indian, and other races. I was pretty surprised when I did not see a category for Bosnians, because I feel like Bosnians, walking around the city and talking to them, are very predominant. But that could just be from the part of the city that I am from. So that could be where my perception is skewed there. So a little bit about the income in Utica, New York. As you can see, it's drastically increased since 2000. It's went up about $6,000, which I think is, for me, I think that's a big jump. I would say that looking at the income in 2015, I don't think it has changed much since then. I couldn't find statistics for 2017. I don't know if maybe I was looking in the wrong spot. but I feel that 2015 to 2017 is pretty accurate. In the poverty level is 32.2%, so that means 32.2% of the population in Utica, New York are below the poverty level, which, I don't know, I feel like that's kind of high. In my opinion, it just seems like a very large number. So going a little bit into religion. So as you can see, there are many different religions in Utica, which definitely portrays, when you talk to people, there's a lot of diverse people in Utica, which I think is amazing. What I found interesting about this chart was the number of congregations. I guess driving down the streets, you look at all the churches, but you don't really pay attention to how many there really are. So I thought that was very interesting, and I guess it really drew my eye to that because of the number of congregations that there are. So I was a little shocked by the crime rate. Utica is only 8% safer than most of the U.S. cities, which threw me for a loop. I felt more safe before I read this. So the violent crimes in Utica are 381. Property, 2,328. The crime rate per 1,000 residents, as you can see, is for violent 6.24 and 38.1 for property. So some major institutions in Utica would definitely be the Utica City School District. I find it interesting because I work in foster care, so I work a lot with the school system. So I've noticed working with the school system that there are kids in the private school Notre Dame, which is actually governed by Utica City School District, and I didn't know that until I started working in foster care. Two major institutions are, we have Utica College down the road, and we have SUNY IT on the other side of the city. I think that brings a lot of people to Utica for education alone. What I did find interesting, and it is below the national average, is there are only 56.8% of civilians in the workforce. So that's a little concerning as well. I think that's something that we can definitely work on in our area because it is below the national average. So going to the article, Seeking the Good Community. So I have the picture of the flood because recently Utica actually flooded, and the Good Community talked about natural disasters. It doesn't seem like a typical thing that Utica floods, but it was just a very rare occasion, and I think it's something that people didn't think to prepare for beforehand. So I also am concerned with the crime rates, just because we are only safer than 8% of the United States. I think that's rather concerning and definitely something to consider if you're going to be staying in the area or coming up here, for college or something like that, especially with two large college institutions so close by. The goods and services, I think we have a good amount of them. There's, a little over 4,000 companies, and I think that's a really good number for our area, and you definitely see them being used on a daily basis. As I talked about before, the job rate in Utica is 56.8, where the national average is 63.3. So that is a little concerning that we are below the national average. So as you can see, these are some of the references, and I hope if you guys have any questions, you feel free to contact me. Thank you for listening.